On May 14, 2025, the President of Burkina Faso Captain Ibrahim Traore presided over a Council of Ministers meeting that adopted two historic decrees, with one authorizing the creation of the first ever higher military education college in Burkina Faso, and the other one honoring Captain Thomas Sankara's Pan-African legacy by authorizing the creation of the Institute of Black People, or rather IPN, that will be known as Farafina. The creation of the higher military education college is quite historic, because ever since independence, Burkina Faso had never had a higher military education college, and was mainly depending on foreign military training colleges for the training of specialized elite members of its security and defense force. And thus, this higher military education college will not only save the country the millions of dollars it spends on foreign trainings annually, but will also bring the experts and skills closer home, ultimately strengthening its military. It will also earn the country foreign exchange and foster good neighborliness, since interested foreign countries from all over the world will be sending their military personnel to Burkina Faso to be equipped with the elite skills. And without saying much, the Burkina Defense Minister General Celestine Simpore had this explanation to make regarding the military college after the adoption of the decree. The Council of Ministers met in an ordinary session this Wednesday, May 14, 2025, under the chairmanship of His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Burkina Faso, and Head of State. The Council examined several issues on its agenda, heard oral presentations, authorized missions abroad, and made important decisions for the nation's progress. Among the major issues examined today and on behalf of the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs, the Council adopted a decree amending the decree relating to the organizational chart of the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs. For further information, I invite General Celestine Simpore. We examined a draft decree establishing a structure responsible for higher military education in Burkina Faso. This will therefore be a first-level higher military education college, commonly known as the Staff College, and a second-level higher military education college, commonly known as the War College. The observation is the following. Since its independence, the higher military training of the National Army of Burkina Faso has always been done abroad, that is to say in friendly countries. Therefore, it is high time for Burkina Faso to ensure that the higher training of these elements of the defense and security force should be done locally. This on-site training should be adapted to real situations and real conditions, that is to say, tropicalization in relation to the problems we are currently experiencing, in particular the fight against terrorism. We also have the increase in our personnel, which recommends that we can put in place the necessary provisions to ensure the continuous training of our officers. This would therefore allow us to locally train a military elite with skills in strategy, command, crisis management and geopolitics, to adapt curricula to national and sub-regional security realities, to strengthen the country's sovereignty in terms of high-level military training, as well as to promote research in military science and security. Finally, this allows us to develop sub-regional and regional cooperation by welcoming officers from neighboring countries and other African countries, thus contributing to collective security. The establishment of such an institution is therefore part of a logic of strengthening national resilience in the face of multifaceted threats and of sustainable professionalism of the armed forces of Burkina Faso. On behalf of the Presidency of Faso, the Council adopted a decree establishing the Institute of Black Peoples Farafina, with the status of a public state establishment. The Institute of Black Peoples is a major initiative of the late Captain Thomas Sankara, born after his stay in the United States in 1984. You will remember that on this occasion, the President of Faso made a speech before the United Nations General Assembly that has remained historic. During this same stay, the President of Faso, Captain Thomas Sankara, visited the black Americans in Harlem, and he made the sad observation of the almost inhuman treatment that was reserved for these Africans, and therefore it was a revolt for him. So much so, that on his return to Burkina Faso, Captain Thomas Sankara, revolted by the observation he made in Harlem, decided to launch the Institute of Black Peoples during an international symposium held in Ouagadougou in 1986. The IPN was indeed created in 1990, but has experienced many difficulties in its operation, and this is also due to all the actions that were carried out and which aimed to erase the memory of Thomas Sankara and also erase his ideals. The creation of the new structure, namely the Farafina Institute of Black Peoples, is in line with the vision of His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Faso, Head of State. This vision, which consists of promoting the African Renaissance and of course promoting endogenous values at the level of Burkina Faso and Africa as a whole. These were therefore the major decisions taken today in the Council of Ministers. Thank you.